What'd you do this weekend, Jerry?
So I'm remodeling a dentist office upstairs.
Nice.
I'm converting it into 6 offices. Mics are going hot here. So this weekend we focused a considerable amount on that remodeling project, where we're going to go from a dentist office to 6 executive offices. Carrie Griggs is in the house. Excuse me, Nikki Chambliss is shortly to arrive. Carrie Griggs has gotten into the investment property game. He's looking quite dapper today. Carrie Griggs is, per usual. How you feeling before we start the show?
I'm feeling great and just happy and excited to be on the show. And, this week's going to energize me, I feel like. It's nice weather.
What is, give a tease to everybody that's watching the program that's in the business. How's the start of the second quarter been for Carrie Griggs Real Estate and the team behind it?
Carrie Griggs Real Estate and the team have been doing wonderful. It's kind of transitioned into a little bit of the investment side as well. So we're super excited to see what holds the rest of this year.
Fantastic. Judah Wickower is the director. Nikki Chambliss will join us in a matter of minutes. It's the Monday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Keith Smith coming back from was it a 65-mile bike ride, Judah Wickower? I think it was a 65-mile bike ride across the George Washington Bridge. He literally is in transit as we speak. Carrie Griggs holds down the fort. Nevertheless, we welcome to the program, friends of the program, Neil Williamson, Jesse Rutherford, Andrew Hardy. Hello and welcome to the show. J-Dubs, we can rock and roll when you're ready. Let's have some fun. Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's great to connect with you on the I Love Seville Network, a show today presented by Keller Williams Alliance. And one of Keller Williams Alliance's finest is in the studio, on the set. And dude, he is such a pimp. Carrie Griggs, 10, 15 seconds away. We'll give some props to Keith Smith. He went up the Eastern Seaboard to the Manhattan, to the Big Apple. I think it was a 65-mile bike ride. He's in transit now, coming back to Charlottesville. Nikki Chambliss will join us today here as well, team leader at Keller Williams Alliance. The show is dynamic, so you, the viewer and listener, can offer perspective or ask the experts. And Carrie Griggs and Nikki Chambliss embody that moniker, experts. Judah, why don't we first go to the two-shot, and we'll welcome Carrie Griggs to the show. Carrie, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jerry. I'm doing great. Just living the dream.
I love having you on the show. One of the few folks that come on the program that may have even more energy than yours truly, especially this early in the morning. My friend, since the last time we had you on the program, the chitter-chatter on Preston Avenue, on Main Street, up Rugby Road, and all over Central Virginia is Carrie Griggs is a real estate investor.
Yeah, I'm trying to step into the real estate investment side of things. I've built homes, I've sold homes, and now so I want to kind of just diversify my portfolio and the way I make income from me and my family. And so investing in real estate and having a couple of rental properties is kind of the direction that I'll be moving, and try to get one every quarter. So.
Dang, that's an ambitious effort right there, Nikki Chambliss. One a quarter. Wow, we love an ambitious goal.
Go after it.
So tell us about the first one.
The first quarter, so yeah, I was able to secure my first rental property this first quarter. The business is doing great. I have some great folks on my team. I brought on an agent with me, and he seems to be doing pretty well. When you step into this real estate side of things, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. There's just so much coming at you at all times, and it's not. You can run your business however you like. There's so many different avenues that you can prospect for leads and clients and how to help families try to achieve their real estate goals. And so, he's going to be really, really great. And I'm just super excited. I mean, we talked about the investment side of things, and it's an ambitious goal that I have. But you know what? Go big or go home.
I like it. I like
Nice.
it. T-minus 30 seconds, Judah, from Nikki Chambliss, if you have that 3-shot ready
So
to
who
go.
is this new team
I
member you
know.
brought on?
That's what I want to know.
I feel like that was
okay.
like a clickbait situation.
Yeah, so,
that was
I'm like,
clickbait.
oh.
Who is the
Nicely
new team
done.
Yeah,
member?
so
I know.
I have a new guy.
It's called a tease in the business.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
a
There we
tease
go.
right there.
Yes.
No, his name is Sean Murphy, and I worked with him in construction, and he's very meticulous, and he really pays attention to detail, and I think he's going to be very, very well for clients when it comes to listening to their needs and knowing exactly where to put them into in the market. I think he's going to be a real, keep your eye on him. I think he's going to be doing great.
Ah, I like that. That voice you heard in the background is the distinguished, very intelligent, truly dynamic Nikki Chambliss, who is now on
I was
set.
like, who are we talking about?
The front woman of Cake Fight, team leader at Keller Williams Alliance, all around cool person. She's on the program right now. New team member on the Carrie Griggs
Oh, no,
team.
it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So it's very interesting because in this kind of market where, like, we're expecting some realtors to be like, peace out, right? That's kind of the expectation. We also have a lot who realize that there's an opportunity here because Carrie might be the most recent person to add a team member, but there are various people within our market center, our brokerage, where I'm having conversations about, hey, how do you build a team? And it's really cool because I can be like, hey, this is what Carrie just did.
Yeah, no. I mean, I follow the Red Book, so, if you're not
Tell us about it.
familiar with that, that's a Millionaire Real Estate Agent, so written by Gary Keller. So I read that, or I listened to that on audio, so ADHD kicks in, and I can only sit still for about 30 minutes, so listening to it on audiobook is pretty good for me. But, that's my superpower, I'll be honest with you. I can multitask, I can get things done, and having been in the real estate game, it really helps me break out of the monotonous of like the daily routine. So I get to meet with clients, I get to sit down in front of my computer, but it kind of has it outlined for you and what has been proven successful for some other agents. So if it can work for them, it can work for me as well.
This guy's crushing it. Brittany Gray giving you props.
Hey, Brittany.
Sean
Yeah.
Hayes giving you props.
Nice, thanks.
Tracy Burge giving you
Thank
some
you,
props.
Tracy. Yeah, those are my rugby teammates right there.
There you go. Got the TV station down the road watching you guys here on Real Talk with Keith Smith. Keith Smith watching
What?
here on Real Talk with Keith
Nice.
Smith.
Hey, you're
Keith.
on vacation. What are
Keep
you
your
doing?
eyes on the road there, Keith Smith.
Yeah, right.
How's the second quarter going so far, Nikki?
I mean, it's going. Like the struggles we've been talking about for a few weeks are still struggles, right? That hasn't changed. And it's interesting to hear, like, I don't know, a year ago we're having very similar conversations, truly. Some of it's changing a little, some of the outlying areas are a little different, but it also depends, like Carrie and I were just talking the other day, it depends on the pricing and the location and, whether or not it's winning the beauty pageant, really. And one of the things we've talked about for weeks on the show is it also depends on how much work needs to be done. Because for a good year plus now, buyers don't want to have to do work. They want to be able to move in, maybe paint, and that's about it. Partly because it's really expensive and challenging to find somebody to do the work in any near future.
How do you characterize the market? Truly still seller's market?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's been a seller's market that
For a
hasn't
long
changed
time.
since I started in real estate, right? And even then, it was much more balanced when I started at the very, very end. Like, I really shouldn't even include 2016. I should have waited until January 1st and not had to pay extra quarter of association dues. But I was so eager and so excited that I wouldn't listen to anybody about that. So, no, it's been a seller's market since then. That hasn't changed. Has the market changed? Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
So very much. But it's still been a seller's market. Now, the details of that market, and when we were looking at any particular area and those micro markets that we have, because all real estate is hyper-local, right? That's where the conversations, I think sometimes we're like, oh, but is it really a seller's market? The technical answer is absolutely, and I understand why the question is being asked, and here's the answer to that, right? So...
That's a great
Yeah.
take.
Yeah, I mean, You're right. It's still a seller's market. We talked earlier in the beginning of this year that we were going to feel a shift, but I'm not feeling it as much as I once thought it was. Now I know it takes a little while for the market to actually show what the numbers that we're looking at. But right now the inventory is just so low that it's still competitive out there. I submitted an offer on a property yesterday where they were collecting bids. 9 offers. Only been on the market 2 days.
Oof.
And that's not even in the Charlottesville area. That's between Charlottesville and Richmond.
Can I ask the price point?
Yeah, it was only like $270.
Okay.
It
So that's entry point?
entry level, and
Yeah.
these buyers out here that are scrapping for these first time homes. It's a very competitive market, and like I said, this is out in the country. You're about 45 minutes away from Charlottesville.
All right, how about the follow-up question to this one?
Okay.
Is it more difficult now for first-time home buyers than it was during peak COVID? When rates were 3, when rates were 2.75. I'll set the stage and then get out of the way of the experts here. Okay, we have less inventory. That inventory has significantly appreciated in value since when rates were 3, which was March of last year. Since March of last year, we've had double-digit appreciation. On top of that, rates have 2x'd. So while there's potentially less competition, rates of 2x and values of what? 12, 14, 15%, depending on the zip code?
Yep.
Appreciation. Where do you guys want to go?
I'll start that
Go for
one. So do I think it's harder than what it was in peak COVID? No, not necessarily for
Okay.
first-time home buyers, only because you had those first-time home buyers that were in the market because they were getting a great interest rate and the money was almost free. Let's be honest, at 2.75,
It's free money.
that's
Yes,
free
it
money.
is.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to purchasing a home.
Right.
So I think that with the interest rates, the Fed's raising the interest rate to slow down the market a little bit. I do think that took some of the buying power from the buyers, so they may have to sit on the back burner. We're not seeing as many competitive offers that are in there, and I think people have had the opportunity to kind of adjust, educate themselves on the market since peak COVID, and be prepared for when they are ready to make that offer.
Such a fantastic take. There's a Honda CRV on Market Street that's giving Carrie props for that take. With the root-a-toot of the horn right there. Nikki, jump in here. Your thoughts. I mean, it's live programming. She can appreciate this as the front woman of Cake Fight. You never know what's going to happen
you
in
never
downtown
know.
Charlottesville
You never know.
in a
Yeah.
studio that is a storefront when probably it should be inside the building and not at storefront level.
It just keeps it exciting,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you, Nikki.
If we can't handle that, then our ADHD is probably going to hurt us in a lot of other ways.
There it
I'm
is.
pretty sure we're a trio of that
100%.
give a mouse a cookie
I know.
situation going
Judah's
on.
the one that's keeping us in line.
You know what? Thank
Somebody's
you so
gotta
much.
keep us straight.
Everybody needs a Judah. There's only one though. Sorry, y'all.
What do you think? Do you think more challenging now?
No, I 100% agree with Carrie,
Okay.
and I'm not just saying that because he's sitting here. Because I will definitely disagree. We will disagree with
I
each
know you
other
will.
when
We
needed,
will.
right? That's important, right?
Yep.
Or just have different perspectives on it. I don't think it's harder. I don't think it's easier. It is different, and that is one of that. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's because it's true. Whether it's the perspective of a buyer or of a seller or of being an agent or a lot of our partner companies, we're all in this beautiful mess together.
100%.
Right? So no, I think it's just different.
Yeah.
And for exactly the reasons that Carrie said.
Do you think here's the follow-up question when we get to this, and I'll throw this specifically to you, Carrie. If rates drop, does that make things better? Or does that make things more difficult and more bonanza?
It's going to make it more bonanza only because you're going to see those people start to get back into the market that probably weren't financially ready, but they're going to take that risk because they have the ability to get a lower interest rate. And that's what everybody's talking about. Everybody's concerned about the interest rates, or, they're trying to get in a good interest rate. And so once you get that, again, you have the sellers that had refinanced at 2.75, and at that point you might as well just keep your property and buy something else and use it as a rental because again it's free money at that point. I don't think
How much of the inventory pinch is those of us that got the 2.75s and don't want to get off it?
I think
We got
there's
the
a
equity,
good
but we don't
little
want to
bit.
get off the rate.
I think there's a good little bit of that. I'd say about, if I had to just throw a number out there, I'd say probably 25% of the buyers are just really concerned about, well, I got this interest rate. I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday about selling their home, and they're like, well, I have less than 3% interest. I don't really, I don't think that I can get a monthly payment much lower than that at 6.5%. So, and I know that is happening in my arena, and I can only imagine that it's happening in other agents, producing agents' arenas as well, when they're sitting down to have that conversation.
Let's give the godmother some props. Donna Patton herself.
Oh, yeah.
She's watching the show. How about that? That's a good nickname, right? The godmother?
Actually,
The godmother,
yes.
yeah.
The
She does
godfather?
kinda-
She's the godmother, right?
She's the one that
I'm here
comes
for
and knocks
this.
on my office door when I mess up,
Donna,
and she's like,
the
hey,
godmother Patton. I love it. Forever known. You are beloved on this set, Donna.
That is correct.
Michael Plecker also watching the
Nice.
program. Logan Foster, Ness
Nice.
Realty, hello. Lonnie Murray, hello. Kevin Higgins, hello. All right, this question for Nikki Chambliss. Summer, usually less because of vacations.
Yep.
Expectation that
Yes.
even less inventory this summer.
Even less of everything.
Okay.
Truly. I really think that seasonality, I think we're seeing it. I think we saw it over winter, right? And I don't mean going back to like 2016, 2015, 2014 seasonality. That's just not the world we live in, right?
Why is that? Because it's social, digital, mobile, everybody has access now?
That combined with the lack of affordable housing, the lack of inventory,
Also, when
price
when it's
increase.
available, you jump.
Yeah, well, I think it's a matter of there's just not enough out there and people are tired. So yes, seasonality, but the boom of spring and the lull of summer used to seem a little more extreme, but that's because there was more out there. There was more business to be had. So of course it seemed like there was more going on because there was. And so now there's not as much going on because there's a lack of inventory. And that's just going to be our normal right now. We don't have a way to impact changing that in a great way in the near future, right? I think there's a lot of talk and hopefully a lot of work that's going into trying to change that for the future, and yet I don't know how much headway we're making in that.
I completely
you know.
agree. I don't think we're making any headway.
Probably not.
How far are your buyers going, Carrie?
as far as what, price point or?
As far as territory.
Territory? Oh, well, so I cover a large territory. I cover, from Richmond to Stanton, Lynchburg to Culpeper. So, ideally, the conversations that I'm having with buyers, if they don't specifically want to be in a certain area like Richmond or Charlottesville or Stanton, the main conversation is 30 to 45 minutes out, right? And then you're going to touch all these surrounding counties. You're going to touch Lake Monticello, Palmyra, Fluvanna, Louisa, Ruckersville, Waynesboro, those kind of alcoves of Charlottesville. And that's only because it's a 30-minute commute. And I mean, if it drops your price tag $150,000, $100,000, most people are willing to go that.
Comments are coming in. We'll get to those right now. Joe Albrecht, giving you some props
that's
right
my
now.
brother-in-law right there. What's up, buddy?
Shannon Curtis, hello. Welcome
Nice,
to the
nice.
show.
Hey.
This is coming in from someone who's looking for a little bit of anonymity. If you've constantly losing the battle to purchase a house and you have a rental that's coming up where your lease is coming up for renewal, how do you navigate that dance?
So I'm just going to start. I'm going to plug here. So you definitely need a trusted advisor. You need a realtor. You need a realtor who's giving you really good advice, and you need to truly consider what that good advice is. Because I know we run into that all day, every day, where
It's a common occurrence.
it
And we
is.
empathize for
And
you.
it is. And we empathize. And truly, you have to look at your personal situation. And I do want you to piggyback onto this big time. But I want to lay some foundational things. At our sales meeting last Tuesday, one of the questions that came up is, hey, are you finding buyers now seem to be leaning a little more particular in a way that's helping them not win the deal, right? And what the conversation in the room ended up being was, well, what we're finding is a lot of the people who we taught and educated, they've either closed or they've decided to take a break. And so now we've got a new batch of buyers in, and I'm not saying that that's the person who is asking the question, but I'm trying to give some background conversation around this. So if what you're willing to do isn't what gets the home in the market, then it might be time to continue to rent. And I would seriously have some great conversations with your trusted advisor that's your realtor, would have some great conversations with your lender. And if they don't know what they're talking about, get you some new ones, right? Seriously.
Yep.
And I would recommend that for most things in life, whether it's your insurance, your cable, internet, phone. Like, if it's not working well,
Especially in this market.
get you some new ones.
In this market, there's really good people looking to provide really good service.
And talk to them, though, because
Yeah.
I will say one of the things that I found when I'm talking to people when I was working with buyers and sellers, and they would say, oh, this was my experience. And a lot of times I would ask questions around that. Well, hey, did you reach out? Did you share this with your person? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, well, we're not mind readers, right? So keep that in mind, too. We don't read your mind as much as it may seem like it sometimes. That's not how we roll.
So I'll piggyback off
Tack.
that. So it really, communication to me is key when it comes to dealing in real estate, because there's many facets to that scenario that I think would be helpful for the person that is losing and coming to a deadline of their rental being taken, pushing up against that deadline. One, I would talk to the landlord and see if a month-to-month option would be available. Some landlords are not going to be acceptable to that, so speak with your other trusted advisor. And just figure out where those pain points are. As a real estate agent, I can kind of tell, just by having conversations, how much business they do. Are they communicating well? If I'm submitting an offer on my buyer's behalf, I always follow up with a phone call just to make sure that they've received it. I don't just send the email, here's your offer. So I just follow up with the agent and ask them, what does the seller find desirable? What would put our buyers in the best position? And usually, they're going to tell us. They want to know, and they want to get.
They want to make the deal.
Yeah, they want to make a great offer for the seller, saying, "Hey, look, this is what we have on the table." And so, it's in their best interest to tell us what the seller is looking for. And when you can do that, you communicate with the other agents. They're going to put your buyer in a much better position. Now, there's certain things that you can't always control. Maybe you don't have that down payment fund, or maybe you don't have those closing cost funds. That's when you go back to your lender and you ask them, "Hey, are there any programs that I can do, like a first and second mortgage?" I know VHDA is a good one. VA is a 0% down. If you can kind of get creative and find a way to wrap those closing costs in there, if you can, or increase your purchase price. I know that's not always desirable when you're going against multiple offers, but VHDA is a good example of a first and second mortgage where you're looking at this loan product and you don't necessarily have to come out of it with cash, and it doesn't take any more risk to the sellers to accept your offer that way. And then also having your agents, if you are losing deals, why are you losing deals? Does your agent follow up with the agent and ask them where your offer has fallen short? Those are just little tips and tricks that I try to do for my buyers so that you're not losing every single deal 10 times, right? You might lose one or two of them, and we're professionals. We're in this business every single day, so we kind of get to see what happens every time we submit an offer. But if you have a first-time home buyer that's never been through this process before, and they think that their agent's just telling them to raise the price or put in an escalation clause to get a little bit more, that's not always the case. And in order for you to learn and experience that, you got to feel that burn a little bit to know that, yes, this is the market you're in right now. Mm-hmm. And if
Dude.
you...
No,
That was one of the best takes ever right there.
amazing.
That was awesome.
And did you catch how he started with,
That was great, Carrie.
go to
Thank
your landlord and see what can be done?
Sure.
Right?
Because the worst they can say is no.
And that's not thinking out of the box. That's
Yeah.
called being a professional, giving
Yeah.
good advice.
Right.
So I think that's a key thing to realize is sometimes I end up having conversations where I feel like we're saying think out of the box. And I'm like, no, that's not thinking out of the box. That's the standard.
Yeah,
If you're not meeting that
that's-
standard, then we need some education.
Keith sent us an email. And
I know, I've seen that.
Did you see it?
Yeah, the average is 22 days on market.
Yeah. The is national, right?
Yeah.
National average for days on market is 22.
And I would say
And
you're even less around here.
It's even
It
less
is,
around. Can you check Paragon for DOM around here? I would imagine it's
can.
single digits, right?
Yeah, I would say
On
7
average?
days
We'll
or
keep
less.
talking while
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
there.
Oh, for sure.
'Cause also, I think he looked specifically, because he always goes back to, and I think it helps with consistency of
What, Almar and Charlottesville?
conversation. Well, he goes to Lake
Lake Monticello. That's right. That's
because
right,
when
he
you
does.
have one point, then
A
you can actually
baseline.
compare.
Yeah,
Yes,
good call.
right?
It's good call. Good call.
So let me see.
Well done, Nikki. So DOM, this is what Keith sent us before the show. He sent it to myself, to Carrie, to Nikki, to QB, to Quentin, to Judah. National days on market is 22.
Yeah.
We're talking like historically low DOM
Didn't Taylor
for this
Swift write a
country.
song about that? Sorry.
Did she? I don't know.
It was
Do you know that?
20 something. Sorry.
22. The headline of
Taylor
what he
Swift.
sent
Really?
us
Did she? I
is
feel like you
the
Googled that.
savagely unhealthy housing market back. Do you want to take a crack at this, Carrie? Any take you have on this?
So I don't think that it's going to be as savage as what it was in 2021, 2022. I think there's still opportunities in there. And again, I talk about having the right agent all the time and the right people in your corner. That's going to be title company, agent, lender, having those people in your corner. And you just, again, get creative. There are so many avenues that you can do. You can do for sale by owners. If there's a particular location that your client wants to be in, you can always do driving for dollars, where you go around and you find the distressed looking properties, or maybe grown up yards, somebody that maybe not living in state, the absentee properties that we have around. Or if you even just want to have a better manage on your timeline, if you know that your rental is going to be up in 6 months, look at a new construction option. That would be a great option, and get in the location that you want. I understand that it's not at a price point that everybody can afford, but those that can, you can kind of dictate your timing. If you want to be 6 months out, go ahead and start looking now. If you know that your rental is not going to be the move that you're going to want to do, if you're going to stay here for long term, you want to kind of get ahead of the game. New constructions are always a good option. So I don't think it's going to be as savage as what it has been in the last 2 years. It's definitely going to be tight, but I think as more inventory starts to come to the market, people will have that opportunity. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but there's a lot of new construction, new communities popping up, so it's going well. You are going to spend a little bit more days on market for new construction because people can't visualize it unless you have a model to walk through. And so I think that's going to be a little bit challenging for some of the construction, but I think it's a good avenue, though.
Savage market, yes. Savage market, no. 22 days on market nationally is the baseline of the article.
Is there like a...
For the savage headline.
Is that what that said?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with
unhealthy.
Carrie in that it's not as savage as peak COVID. But
No,
DOM
agreed.
and CAR or Lake Monticello is what, 8,
Oh,
9?
hold on.
Yeah,
Let me go
single
back. Sorry.
digit,
It's
I
got
would
to be
say.
single digits.
Yes. And actually, so I pulled more data because I wanted to be able to look at more things, and let me change it because now I'm like, oh, I should have just gone for that.
4,500 homes, often our
Yeah.
baseline. Oftentimes where folks go if they're looking to penetrate the market with a first-time purchase, although that neighborhood's changed and may be actually phasing out of the first-time home purchase, Lake Monticello, because you're probably looking, high 2s for the distressed ones, 3s for the ones that are in good shape for a starter at Lake Monticello for an entry point.
I would say
Okay, so
350
here's-
is a probably
350
entry
at
point
Lake?
for Lake
I'm looking at
Monticello.
closed in the last 30 days.
Yeah?
Lake Monticello. And I'm going to take out 2 outliers. One was
Okay.
132 days on market, one was 238.
Okay, so those need serious work.
Those, yeah. And then there's one that actually is much, much higher than the rest that I'm leaving in just for
Kicks and
giggles.
giggles.
Yes, I was like, oh, don't say that. 41, right? Okay, so I'm going to leave that one for now. Oh, just kidding. Wrong way. Reverse. Also, did you know in that Troy the Bop It thing, apparently you can win?
Crystal Berry giving you props. Kevin
yay.
McMullen giving you props. More questions coming in here.
Even
Katie
leaving the
Pearl's got a
40
comment here.
Oh,
Nice,
love Katie.
Katie.
So even with the 41 left in there, the average days on market for that last 30 days is 7.
For Lake
Lake
Monticello.
Monticello.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, granted, I'm
So
not
that-
going very far back, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to take a look at various
7
aspects here.
DOM, days on market for Lake Monticello. Katie
last
Pearl says, I would
month.
say that the lake has a longer DOM than other Charlottesville area neighborhoods, but would love to hear what Carrie thinks about this.
I would agree with Katie. 7 days. If you're doing a deal in Charlottesville and you price it right and your seller's reasonable,
outlier, though.
you got probably a max of 3 days. If you
What do
hear-
you go, active Wednesday, open houses weekend, deadline Sunday, or deadline Monday, close of business
Yeah,
for offers?
typically it goes coming soon on Wednesday, active Friday morning, collecting offers over the weekend, open house on Sunday, decision made on Monday or Tuesday. So
What do you do? Where's your deadline? Close the business Monday for offers?
close a Monday business, yeah.
Generally speaking,
For
and
offers.
sometimes that varies,
Okay.
especially
You'll
if the sellers are out of town or out of country, right?
Yeah, you'll see some Tuesdays. From time to time, you'll see a Tuesday.
So you agree with Katie? KTP says Lake has probably longer DOM than some target Charlottesville City neighborhoods.
Yes.
I
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
I don't know. I feel like when it's priced right, the lake has become so hot that it's much, much closer than ever before. Like when I first started, the lake was different in that way, and that gap
What,
has
in that it
closed
was
a whole
far?
lot.
Or the price? You're saying price?
The days on market.
Oh, DOM.
Yeah,
Okay,
totally
understood.
days on market.
Gotcha.
Like I think that gap has closed considerably.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still different, but I don't think it's near as different. If you think a few years back, totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
And it's all a totally different ballgame, right?
2007, 2008, you couldn't give away the houses at the lake. And people were complaining about the drive. They were complaining about 53, all that stuff. Now people are chomping at the bit to get at the lake. It's
Yeah.
like less driving to the employer because it's more hybrid work from home. So the drive is less of an issue. The price point is still hot. Threes, like you said, mid threes. I mean, where are you going to find that? It's got a great sense of community.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot.
It's a town within itself.
It's a town within itself.
You know.
4,500
And it's been
homes.
growing.
Yeah.
Like not just the number of homes in that neighborhood, because they're still building on the lots that do exist still, but the area has grown out a lot. Like when I first moved, like there was the Food Lion and a couple of things, and now, and there were other aspects too. Like I think I don't know when I first moved there if there was, but there's always been like a coffee shop in the area, right? There's always been a few things, but that's built up a lot. Zion Crossroads has built up a ton. Like I remember when that Walmart was first built.
Yeah. There's a new
Like,
community
and there's
going in there
just
too.
there's so much that's built up around these areas where it's like, you know what, they can work in Charlottesville and not do a single thing while they're here and handle everything there either near the lake or Zion Crossroads.
But if you look at it, let's just go anywhere outside of Charlottesville or Richmond. If you look at any of these communities around, I mean, you have North Point, which is north of Charlottesville. That one's growing so fast. You have, if you go towards the lake, you're going up 53, and before you go that roundabout, they're putting a new community there. Heck, even the ones that were across the lake already sold all the lots in there. I mean, it's Old Trail, obviously, gangbusters out there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not enough land to put houses out there in Crozet. They just keep on consuming everything. I mean, it's growing everywhere.
Jonathan Pushard for Nikki and Carrie, he says, while I understand the days on market are slim, when I'm doing my searches on the Realtor app, I'm noticing at the higher price points, there is inventory to choose from.
Yeah, there is. But you're only going to touch about, well, let's put higher inventory. Let's just say 500,000 or more. But what does that take your buyer pool down to? About 40% at that point that can actually afford a home over $500,000. I mean, this does not help the first-time home buyers that are just starting out with the families, and that's not a starter home. There is more inventory out there, that's for sure. No denying that.
Joshua Ostrowski is watching in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Hey,
and
buddy.
he's giving Carrie some props
Oh man,
right
what
now
a great guy!
on the program. Welcome Argentina to the show. The Carrie Griggs brand is evidently global on the I Love Seville network this particular
Thank
morning.
you,
Well
guys.
done, Carrie
Yeah.
Griggs. So this for Nikki. What changes in the last 6 months of the year, or is this what we're going to expect for the rest of the year, the first 6 months?
I feel like so much of that depends on if anything big outside of the real estate arena happens.
What are we
right?
talking? Bank
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That conversation's been going on.
for most of the year?
Yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's hard, and maybe it's the ADHD, but part of me is like, okay, that's not just white noise. I know it's happening. I want to stay like on top of what's going on, but it's almost like, okay, I'm tired of hearing about that until something actually happens. And not from a life perspective, big picture perspective, but from my day-to-day, hey, how does this impact real estate, right? Same kind of thing that happened when COVID first hit, and I was having very regular conversations that were very redundant and needed with all of my clients, educating on, hey, what does this look like? How is this impacting? And a lot of it was, hey, I don't know, and here's what my educated speculation would be based on A, B, C, D, E.
Is the bank thing coming
Right.
up with your clients?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
What, is there anything like that coming up? Scott Gillespie says, Carrie, much respect.
Hey, Scott, what's up?
What is the topic that's coming up with the supply chain that you guys deal with?
You know, I'm kind of curious to see what would it actually take for the housing market to slow down, because we've been, you know, if you think about the last 3 years, we were like, oh, well, you know, COVID's up, housing market's going to slow down because no one's going to be able to view houses, and I probably did one of my best years ever. I mean, that's at least
and
what
a lot of people did.
Yeah, that's at least what got me started onto this next couple chapters of my life, you know, building out a team, making the transaction happen, helping as many families as we can try to help. I really thought it was going to slow things down, but no, not at all. It wasn't the COVID, it wasn't the riots, nothing. I mean, really, it's just kind of been no stop signs whatsoever. It's just
So
full
what is
throttle.
the stop sign?
I don't know. I'm curious to
Is
find
it
out.
rates?
No,
But it seems
Yeah.
like rates have
obviously
stalled.
No.
They've
the-
stalled. And
the-
they did impact buyers because
No.
the market's still moving. Is that what you...
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to affect the business a little bit. I was like, you know, yes, it took some of the buying pool down, you know, as far as what they qualified for. Man, but there are still so many buyers out there in the market that have been searching, or that, like Nikki said earlier, we closed those buyers out, and so they already have a home now, and they're starting to live their best lives. But can you imagine if you would have bought a house in 2020, 2019, you can turn around and sell it right now, and you would have made, you know, we joke earlier before we got on air, 50% of the value in the house now. I mean, in reality, you could probably get about 30% equity out of that just off of a 3-year purchase.
Okay,
which is
so that's
unreal.
the position our family is in.
Yeah.
Okay, literally in that position. We talked about this briefly last week, but here's our plight. This we bought in March of 2020.
Okay.
And in March of 2020 was when we thought the world was coming to an end. Remember? We
Yeah.
were like going in places with like latex gloves on. And like
Hazmat suits.
you know, space
Oh, yes.
like people were wearing
Yeah. Oh, for
at the
sure.
grocery stores. That's when we had to take our shoes off before coming in the house because we thought the COVID was on the shoes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
disinfected my groceries.
Remember
Them
that?
in.
We threw our bags away.
I know.
We stripped after
I
going to the
know.
grocery store. Remember?
Yes.
That literally
Yes.
is what we did.
Yes.
I know, it's so crazy. So, but here's the problem, and we'll get to these comments that are coming in here. Here's the problem. The step up is also 30 to 40% more expensive.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
the step up is got a rate that's a 6 or a
Yeah.
high 5.
You're right.
So that equity gets eroded, and then the monthly payment is substantially more.
You're right. It is. You know, we're living in crazy times right now. As far as like the real estate goes, it's like the Wild West. You know, you can try to predict it. You can try to, you know, get ahead of it. But honestly, I don't know how you're going to do it. You know, you just when preparation goes with like expectations, you know, you get a nice little successful combination right there. And if you are educating yourself on the market, you know, we do this day in and day out. You know, I have a daily routine that I follow, and it's helped me be successful.
What is the routine? I would
You
love
know,
to know that.
I get up in the morning times early. I'm up around 6 o'clock. And
Every
then,
day?
It's most days, yeah. And then I try to do my morning routine, you know, look at social media, make sure I'm ahead of all things, check my emails in the office by 9. Maybe 9:30 as I'm fielding emails. I check the market every morning. I try to check the market 3 times a day. In the morning time, see what has come over overnight. At lunchtime to see if any agents got any new markets, new houses to the market. And then I check it at the end of the day to see if, you know, let's say around 7 o'clock, you're going to see all the houses that are going to be dropped on the market that day.
This is a man with a plan right here.
And then you send that out to your clients. Your day starts the day before, so you send that out to your clients to see if there's any interest in that so you can get ahead of the game. And so if you're constantly preparing for those moments to be ahead of the market and understand that, you know, you got to... I joke with my family all the time, and they give me a hard time, but I work 7 days a week, and what I consider work now is, you know, I'm on my phone right here, and,
Yeah, no.
you know, it's
100%.
easy stuff.
Even if
It's
we're not on our
swinging a-
phone, we're working.
Yeah, it's not
We're
swinging a
consuming
hammer.
our mind with work.
Yep,
Are you not?
Oh yeah, always
Yeah.
going.
Constantly. Yeah.
We're
Really?
trying to constantly just be in touch with people, but
I
you
have
know,
a hard time explaining that to people. I have a hard time explaining that to like family, to my better half. Like have the conversation with J-Dubs here. Like, you know, there's
some reels that can help with that. I'm just
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, leaving, when you walk out the door, being able to leave it.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do that in 15 years.
So there's 3 phases for me. I call it, one's a job, one's a career, and one's a lifestyle. I have a lifestyle in
Same.
real estate, you know, and I'm constantly networking. I'm meeting great people, meeting new people, not to necessarily sell them a house, but I always joke around, if I'm in a room of 100 people, only 2 of them are going to probably want to buy or sell. But I try to utilize all that. You know, there might be plumbers, lawyers, carpenters, things that I need in my life. And so I connect with them. And so when my clients say, hey, do you know somebody? I'm like, yeah, I had a friend do that this morning. He's like, hey, do you know a handyman? Yep, here you go. Right? And so you're constantly meeting new people. I don't come from the Charlottesville area. I'm actually from Oklahoma. So when I came here, I had to create, you know, you always hear real estate agents say, work with your sphere. Well, I had a very small sphere, so I had to do something that increased my sphere quickly. And so that's why I'm always meeting everybody in a room.
You guys should play like the last 20 minutes of what Carrie's been saying on the show and the Keller Williams, like, rookie, what do you call it? The team Amanda's running?
Yeah, yep. Alliance Home Team.
Yeah.
Part of their intro. You know what?
They have
yes,
this like
actually.
incubator team where
Yes.
the new to the team at KWA, they go down Amanda Spagotti's team. This has been like a tutorial.
Okay, but also, so keep
Good
in
stuff,
mind,
Carrie.
this man is the networking king.
I know he is.
It's incredible, like legit.
And he's got relentless energy, and he's
yes.
extremely likable.
Well-
He's putting in the
Thank you.
work.
But part of it, like, would you have this relentless energy if this weren't something you were passionate
Great
about?
question.
Right? Because that's
No, honestly, I don't
question.
think so. I've had jobs where it's, well, it was just, that's what it was. It was a job.
Well,
It
your
was-
boys are talking about it. I mean, look at this comment that just came in. I've known him back when he was hammering nails for someone else
Oh,
back
yeah.
in 2008 when he was swinging a hammer.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
from Scott.
And
so,
it-
like, they've known you and they've seen the transformation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why his digital network is literally, like, giving him props on this, like,
yeah.
blossoming.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
it's
The
incredible.
swinging the hammer, very humbling experience for me. I was thought people looked down on me because of it, and they weren't looking down on me. They were trying to figure out what I was doing. The guys that were walking around the job sites in suits, they were looking over my shoulder to figure out how I was doing what I was doing, where I thought they was looking down at me. And it just goes to show that, you know, you never judge a book by its cover, because on the other side of this, you don't know anybody's story. And I'm very, very fortunate to be where I am. You know, I was talking to my wife, and 7 years ago, you know, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and my electricity got shut off. We had to go without heat, and we just had a brand new baby, and so it doesn't take long to change it once you put the plan in action.
Dang, dude.
I know.
Tell that story.
Yeah, for real.
That's
Tell that
my
story.
success story, man. You
The
know,
vulnerability of not having the heat with the baby. Tell
oh
that
man,
story.
it was you know,
humbling.
I was scared.
Yeah.
And you know, I had to borrow $250 from my father-in-law to get my electric cut back on. So this is scary at its rawest form, but you know, I'm very fortunate today. You know, I can not to sound cocky or arrogant, but I can buy without looking at the price tag sometimes. I can take my wife out to dinner and not have to worry about what the bill is going to look like. She reminded me this morning, she said it wasn't not too long ago we'd have to check our bank account before we got gas. And I'm like, you know what? It feels good. You put in the work and you, well, two things. This is a twofold. You put in the work and the work will take care of you, right? And then surround yourself with great people that are going to level you up, because that right there is going to be the key thing, is
Yeah.
being around people that are going to level you up. And that's going to be your friends, your peers. Don't forget where you came from, but also don't be afraid to excel.
I love it.
Yes.
I mean-
Well, no, he's incredible. And I love it because one of the
Unbelievable.
things that I've heard him say a whole bunch over the last few years has been talking about, hey, I'm not trying to do this, but for so many years, because he's trying to build a team and something
Yeah.
that can grow and grow beyond him and without him, and diversify his income streams, like this whole investment property thing. This is new to you, and you're just getting started.
Walk us through what you did with the investment property. I mean, just give us anything you can say.
Yeah, so
the mechanics of the deal, anything, your
Like what
plan,
I
your
was
vision.
telling-
I would love to hear that. People love that stuff.
What I was telling
Yeah.
you earlier?
Yeah, yeah.
How? Okay, so I had a scenario where, you know, the
This
guy.
is great, guys. Listen to this.
The guy was going into foreclosure, and I asked him, I said, you know, how long do I have? And he said, you know, it goes to the auction steps in 6 days. And I was like, wow, I can't even get listing photos in that amount of time. I mean, I realistically.
So he
couldn't get-
approached you about selling his house.
Yes.
6 days before it was going to foreclosure.
Yes, and so I told him I can, try to find somebody to do it with cash, and it was in an area that they weren't willing to go. And so I offered him, he told me what he wanted for it, and then I said, why don't I give you a little bit more so that you can walk away from this with something in your hand? I said, let me keep it from going into foreclosure for you. So I called the asset manager and the attorney for it. And so I said, listen, I'll pay you this set amount, which was more than what he was asking for, because I didn't want to feel like I was taking advantage of him. And I wanted him to walk away with a win. And I told him, I'll pay all your closing costs. I said, I'll take care of everything. I also gave him anything in the house that he wanted, the appliances, which wasn't any good for me because I would have to totally renovate it in general. But it was a win-win for us both. And so my goal, again, is, to make this a Section 8 rental so that, one, I'm creating affordable housing in the communities that I want to be in, and two, just to be helpful. I think this is a big problem. And, if the government gives vouchers for that, it makes a whole lot of relief on the families that truly need it. You're using it to get back on your feet. I think there needs to be more of that. I can't tell you how many Section 8 prospects that I see that they're just like, there's not enough inventory. So my goal is to have a door, or buy an investment property every quarter, and to eventually, 10 investment properties will take care of all my living, 20 will set me financially free where I don't have to work anymore, and 200 doors are my goal. So
So when you talk about doors, because you almost went there and then you corrected, I think, to make sure people understood what you're saying. When we're talking doors, because right now, what do you have? Is it a detached property?
Yep, it's just a single-family detached property with a yard. It's small.
Where's it at?
It's in Stanton.
Okay.
It's small, but I kind of want to keep it that way so that it's easy manageable for aging folks or people starting out, and it just seems to be easier to maintain the smaller properties. Don't get me wrong, everybody wants a big house because you can store it with lots of stuff, but for those people that need help, and they're just trying to get on their feet, let's start them off with something small. 200 doors is the actual doors itself. I would ideally like to have like a 16-unit apartment complex. That's going to be one of my next goals. I dabble in the commercial space as well. I showed a church this weekend, which was fantastic.
Okay.
Where was that?
It was over there in Goochland County.
Okay.
I am getting a little bit more creative with this stuff. And, it's all trial and error. Let's be honest with each other. There's no handbook on...
There's no plan.
No, I mean...
It's like being a parent.
You have to try it.
What sticks?
Yeah, and you kind of got guidelines, and you can educate yourself on it. But, at the end of the day, there's so many avenues that you can go down. And everybody runs their business a little bit differently. All my units are going to be Section 8 units. A lot of people is like, well,
Walk us through the Section 8. How the Section 8 model works. Like, how do you get, I legitimately have no idea, and I legitimately want to learn, and I think other people do.
I'm still learning the process myself, but you have to apply for the Section 8 as well.
Apply with whom? Or what?
So that's going to be, there's paperwork that you can fill. There's actually going to Section 8. You can pull that paperwork and the documentation out. I actually bought a course just for Section 8 because I knew this is in the direction that I wanted to go, just so I can create affordable housing across the board. So you can Google it, Section 8 housing, and you can get the form there, and then you just submit it to the website that the email address, you put it back in their hands, and so... this is me. You can walk with me on my adventure. Talk to me next month. I'll have a little bit more detail.
You know what would be freaking amazing? I sincerely mean this. This is just a free advice from someone who does this. Create make this part of your professional brand and do the flip book story of you becoming a real estate investor specializing specifically in the Section 8 space and legitimately document every step.
Well,
and I think if you document every step of being a Section 8 landlord, that you will effing it will go viral, and then your following will get huge. Well, I sincerely believe that.
I might have to do that, honestly. Yes. Like I said, I want to create the affordable housing, right? Because there's a need for it, and just help as many families as I can.
Well, this is like being a social entrepreneur or a conscious capitalist, someone who can run a business in the black and make a profit, but do it in a way that makes the community better.
Yeah,
that's what he's talking about doing. So the stigma with Section 8 is that maybe the property is not as well taken care of, stuff like that. You're saying that's not necessarily the case here, or we're about to find out.
That's where I'm going with that. I mean, I think it's going to be just fine. I mean, you vet your tenants like you would any other process, and quite frankly, if they're getting the assistance from the government, they don't want to lose that voucher either, and so I feel they're not going to destroy it. If you vet them well, and there's the application process that everybody has to go through, and if you just vet your tenants well, I think they're going to take care of your property for a while.
Well, and here's the other side of that, and I don't know all the details because it's been a minute since I've looked at them, but they have additional requirements. And so as an investor, you have a little more paperwork, but for your tenant, they have requirements above and beyond what you can put as a landlord that they have to follow, or they don't get to keep doing this.
So
they're highly motivated to make this work. This is truly a win-win that you're
from my
creating.
education process, there has to be an inspection every single year without fail. So they have to come in, as one for the landlord, they're going to come in and make sure that it is up to par with what the standard of living is going to be. And that's a great opportunity for me as the landlord to see how the tenant has been living and treating my property as well. Now, again, I would put it into the leasing terms of that to have access, every 120 days to do a quarterly inspection just to make sure that the property is how it was when I let them use it, and to make sure that no damages. But I think there's some things that you can do to help yourself as well. Taking out the dishwasher, right? That's a luxury item, not necessarily a necessity. No ceiling fans, things like that. Things that are going to eliminate your risk as a landlord, I think is going to be extremely helpful, right? These are going to be your basic needs that you have, not luxury items.
This comment's come in, multiple comments. People are loving this story here. Fantastic story, very inspiring. This is from Jennifer Sherling. She says, tough to find $40,000 deals, though, if you're not in the business. Is that right?
But again, it could be anything. It just happened to be this small of a deal, but you can do it with land. You can do it with all kinds of things. This one is in truly need of work. I mean, I wish I could show pictures of it, but you see them driving around all the time. I like to call it driving for dollars, and you just look around, and unfortunately, not all houses are going to qualify for financing, but it's look at it. And being that I come from a contractor background, I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage on that front.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of just...
Kerry, you got a lot going for you.
When I say it out loud, it sounds a little weird, but, all the background things that I've done to lead me up to this, I realize that I have always been involved in housing at some point. But, I mean... you drive down the road, you see a house that has been caught on fire. Well, if you look at it, it still has a functional foundation. You have plumbing, you have the wires ran for the electrical. So now all you have to do is put it back to framing and building and a roof. I mean, I'm probably going to spend just as much, if not more, on the renovations than I did when I bought the property. So you have to just take that in consideration, and then you can do it, turn around and do the BRRRR method, right? Real estate investors out there know what that is. That's buy, renovate, rent, and then refinance. So, you get creative and things like that. And if you need some help, do an FHA 203K loan to purchase that property, then put the money into it that you need. So there's so many different products that you can use, and that's only 3.5% down. That's their money. That's other people's money that you're using to flip a home that you just went out and drove, and you, I call it skip tracing, where you contact the, maybe I'm getting myself in trouble here, but you contact the homeowner from the GIS and you ask them, hey, would you be willing to sell your property?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right?
It's public record.
Yeah, right? Public record, and you just you Google them, research them, and then you ask
anybody,
them.
As long as they're not on the do not call registry.
Right, there you go. That's what I was saying.
That's the thing.
A lot of people don't realize this, but you can pretty much figure out who owns any property.
Yeah, go to the
unless
GIS.
Even if it's owned by an LLC, you can kind of backdoor that as well.
Yeah.
It's just on the GIS.
Yeah, just drive around for dollars. You see that distressed one with the grass growed up in the yard and the gutters falling down? They may be an absentee owner. They may not live there. They may live in another state or inherited something that they don't want to pay taxes on anymore. If you can bring them a price that they're willing to settle for, and then you turn around, like I said, FHA 203K is a 3.5% down loan. him that you can borrow $200,000-$300,000 and do your renovations, put a tenant in there, or even just turn around and resell it.
I love it.
There's so many creative ways that you can do. There's no reason not to be able to be successful.
Your
in
boy
2022.
Kyle Miller giving you some props. He does a lot of this stuff.
He does, man.
himself.
Kyle's a great dude.
What's up, Kyle? He's a real estate investor.
You know what?
himself.
I
He's
like-
watching now. He's a podcaster too.
You know
Go
what?
ahead.
I want to say thank you, Kyle. He had a sit-down meeting with me as I was going through these beginning stages of it. So I appreciate you, Kyle.
Kyle, you're a good guy. He's come on the network a couple times.
Yep.
Nikki, what's on the mind over there?
Okay, so the more recent comment was about you
Jennifer
can only
Shaw.
find these things if you're in real estate.
Essentially,
But
she's saying if you're an insider, that's the only
no,
way.
I would disagree. I think that it depends. There are lots of people who are insiders who don't have investment properties at all.
No.
Like that was a recent thing that happened last week where I was like, oh my gosh. I was having a conversation with actually 2 director of operations in our building. And I was like, I want your goals and dreams to be bigger than this. I want you to be able to do so much more. And I know you can. You guys are brilliant and wonderful. And wouldn't it be cool if everyone in our brokerage had an investment property? Everyone, because we're all in real estate. Why wouldn't we not? But one of my first accesses to solid information about investing was Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
And a lot of those stories that I heard, even though a lot of the people who run that industry, that business that has become quite the booming business in various arms, the whole octopus going on there, they have their real estate license now, but they didn't start out that way.
No.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, they took a while before they finally gave in and got their license because it just, they finally decided, I don't want to pay realtors right now. I'd rather have that be another arm of my business. But they didn't do that until that made sense as a business, and it didn't for a while for them. But they were out there actively looking, researching, finding their jam. And like you mentioned, everybody's business looks different. There's a lot of fundamental keys and best practices that if you do work for you, you just have to find that thing, like in real estate even, what's your jam? For a lot of us, our sphere of influence is one of our major jams, right? Not for everybody though. Not everyone follows that. Some of us are introverted and are like, you know what, that's not the way I'm doing this. No. Or we move from out of town and we're like, hey, I don't have a sphere yet and I don't want to wait until I grow that, and I don't, even if that's quickly. And so I'm going to go this route. The owners who are, my word just totally left my brain, people who don't live there but own
Absentee
the home.
owners.
Absentee owners. Thank you. I'm like, I know the word. Y'all help me here.
Yeah.
I love that
So
strategy,
there are
dude.
just a lot of different things there. So, you don't have to be a realtor.
Katie Pearl, and Katie, I 100% agree with what you just said here. She goes, I love Kerry so much. He's so willing to share knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you give, it's amazing. If you give more than you take, you end up winning at the end.
amen to that. But
That
you know
is
what?
so
I realized that, I can give you guys my secret sauce, and only 5 to 10% are actually going
Exactly.
to take that advice and try to do something with it.
And then they're going to choose a different path based on the secret sauce.
And out of that 5 or 10% that actually going to take that advice, there's only going to be maybe 1 or 2% that actually follow through with any of it.
So it's not like it's actually competition.
It's not. And you know what? I do
It took
about
me a while to learn that.
I do about 8 to 10 grand worth of self-education every year, right? I buy courses.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I told
You
my
spend 8 to 10,000. Did you hear that, dude? This, I swear to God, you should take this entire show and play it for a KWA training
Well,
seminar.
I mean-
you spend $8,000 to $10,000 a year of incremental revenue out of pocket every year.
yeah,
Now
for
remember,
myself.
7 years ago,
That's legit, dude.
there wasn't
Thanks,
power
man.
in the house.
Yeah, there wasn't no power in the house, man.
And
And
he
there.
killed
That's what
it
I'm
and
saying.
went after it, and now is
No power in the
spending-
house with a newborn baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
And was willing to share that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one.
That gave me
appreciate
goosebumps.
you so
I
much.
legitimately was choking up over here when he was
Yeah.
telling that story. I mean, I think he knew that too.
Yeah. When you stop learning and you think you know it all, that's when it's going to catch you. And like I said, there's so many highly successful people that just are super creative. I've been following a guy. He starts LLCs and is able to get no document loans with banks like Truist and Navy Federal with a brand new LLC for $50,000.
Yeah, up to $50K.
Yeah, and then he goes and he puts that into an automated business, and now he's a millionaire at 28. I mean, just people like that. I bought his course too, and I'm learning all about the credit scores and things like that. And even though I know most of this stuff, if I can take one little nugget out of that course, I am better off than what I was when I started it. And so I do a lot of self-education, and I've been able to like I said, be surrounded full of people that think big. I don't call my team a real estate team. We're a wealth building team, right? We sit down every week and we go over our goals. Our yearly goal, it's called a 411. It's in the red book, Keller Williams Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's what your goals are for the year, what your goals are for the month, and what your goals are for the week. And I hold my team accountable to that, and we have to go through that. And they hold
Personal
me
goals or
both,
team goals?
Both.
Both?
Yes.
Yeah, because
awesome.
I don't feel
awesome.
like you can just disconnect from this. So, my team members, they want to own investment properties, and so I got a new agent coming on, so I make him think big. And so I'm like, that's, think so big that it scares you, or that other people may laugh at you when you tell them their dreams. I told people years ago that I wanted to be a millionaire, and everybody laughed. My wife was commenting on this morning. She's like, but they're not going to be laughing in a couple of years, are they? And I'm like, no, I guess not.
Dude, your wife sounds
Good
amazing.
for her.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
She is.
Amanda, I love
Yeah.
you. She is
Yes.
100% like my person.
Kyle Miller loves what he's hearing right now. He says, what's
Yeah.
up, guys? He gives the strong emoji.
Yay.
And a follow-up to Jennifer's comment from Thomas. Well, if you want the inside information, sounds like you need to get with Carrie or Nikki. I mean, that's Thomas's comment. I mean, to Jennifer's
You're not
comment, she
wrong.
goes, do you only get the 40K deals if you're in the business and you're an insider? No, you can work alongside an insider, and they can pass it along to you.
And-
DeAndre McDonald
Oh my
told the
gosh.
story. You came on the show with her,
She's
right?
incredible.
The
Yes,
hotel?
yes.
She got that
Yes.
hotel hookup from KWA.
And here's the thing, I will tell you straight up, one of the things that as a new agent that I struggled with was the fact that people just automatically had mistrust for me.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have realtor behind my name, and now I will say there's solid reason, and I built trust, and now I have a confidence and I have a knowledge around what I'm doing that took a good year to 3 to really build, and it does sometimes. Actually, 3 years is the magic year. I'm just saying. 3 years is where it's at. If you make it, then you're good and you like it. And if you're still unsure, you might want to reconsider, right? But had I not had my realtor's license, some of the conversations I had with people, they would not have had the automatic mistrust. So like there are two sides to that coin, and heck, there's even a little edge to it. I'm just saying, there's all sorts of ways to take a look at this. And you can do it whichever way it is you want to do it. But do you want to do it? And what are you willing to do for it?
Yeah. My clients always come first too. I try to go through about 4 or 5 properties a day. Fridays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are my prime times. That's my work week, and then Mondays are when I clean up everything from the weekend. So realistically, Wednesday would probably be my weekend. But my clients always come first. If we go through a property and I'm either representing the buyer and they want that property, I would never in a million years consider purchasing that for myself. I'm not that kind of guy, and my clients always come first. If I have a seller that I think I can help, that is going to go onto the market, and we're going to try to get you as much profit in the shortest amount of time that we can. If there is no solution that I have for them and I can't help them out, I tell them, I'm very upfront with them and say, this is too short of a timeline, or I don't think we can list it for the price tag that you're saying. I'm not going to inflate your comps just so that I can get a listing for your house to set on there. I would rather under promise and over deliver every single time than just kind of fill your head with rainbows and butterflies. But about the insider thing, I seen a guy that was in need and I didn't see any other solution for
You
him.
helped him.
Yeah,
you helped him.
I gave him more than what he was asking for.
That was win-win.
Yeah, and like I said, he was able to.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I told him, take your appliances, take everything, sell whatever you can.
You helped.
I said, make money. The house next door had just caught on fire and burnt the side of his house. He got a settlement check from the insurance company because it had burnt the side of his house and he didn't have electricity on it. I was like, keep that money too. I was like, don't even worry about the repairs, because I had to do so many repairs to it anyway. And I'm like, just take it.
And can we talk about that a little more? Because some of the feedback we're getting, let me mention, this is a house that no one else in the market would have wanted or been able to purchase financed.
No, it wouldn't have qualified financially.
So you're not taking away from the inventory that's on the market. And I think that's a really key thing. And even if you're providing a rental, and yet usually what I find in the things that like you and I talk about, Carrie, are finding properties that you're fixing things up. You're actually adding value to the market.
100%.
You're adding.
Yeah.
You're not taking away from someone else who would want to buy. It's not the same thing.
Beth Marcus on Ivy Road, Farmington, just shared the show. Kevin Poteet says, "Let's go, Carrie."
Yeah.
With the exclamation points.
Nice.
Dude is on point, man. You want Nikki and Carrie fighting your battles, guys, in this world we call real estate.
real.
These people epitomize character and morals and do anything for their clients. How about some closing thoughts for the viewers and listeners? I genuinely think, Donna, if you're watching this program, you should be playing this show for the introduction of the rookie realtors at KWA here. This guy has got is a wealth of knowledge, and you communicate it well, and you
Yes.
communicate it in a way that is like approachable, where you're not coming across as like a know-it-all, which is like even better.
I still have plenty to learn, and I learn every day from people that are way more successful than I am, and I take that and I just try to surround myself with people like that. And, you know, if I had any closing statements for those buyers that are getting beat up in the market, hang in there. There is some silver lining in there. That perfect house will come onto the market, and that will be, you'll realize all the no's that you've gotten to this point and why it has made so much sense when you land that perfect one. For the sellers out there, be kind, you know, be reasonable. You know, we're out here to help you as well. And I think that if we just do what we say we're going to do and do it with integrity, it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
Well said. Same out for you, Nikki.
Oh gosh, I don't even know what to say following that. I'm just saying, I don't have words.
Oh, you got it.
No, I don't know. I get it can be exhausting. It can be hard out there, and it can be frustrating. Like the low inventory can get really, really frustrating. And I would say take a look at what it is that you want, what that timeline is, because that's one of the things we take a look at. Maybe the thing that you think you want, maybe that's the 10, 15 year. Maybe you need a 5 year. Maybe you need a 3 year, and it stays as an investment. You know, stair
Get in
step
the game.
that. Stair step it.
Yeah.
Get in. Do something, right? Have something. Have a part in the game at all. Don't just keep sitting on the sidelines unless you want to. If you want to sit on the sidelines, more power to you. There are so many valid reasons to do that. And yet the thing that I'm going to talk about on this show is encouraging you not to, because I have found incredible value and life change in being able to own my own home, which I did not when I first started as a realtor. Becoming a realtor was part of how I was able to do that, right? Enter the game of home ownership, know what I was doing, be able to help, be able to find a property that actually mine was financeable, but it wasn't something anyone else wanted and was willing to pay the price I was for it, right? And
Yeah.
it still shows that because it's still a work in progress. But get in the game. Start somewhere and have a plan forward, knowing that you're probably going to have to shift that plan. But if you don't know where you're going, then you're just kind of floating around.
Well said.
And this is not a market to just be floating around in.
No.
Love it. I love the show.
I do too.
so
Honestly,
fun.
it's a lot of
awesome.
fun. I
Yeah.
get to hang out with friends. As
I'm
I
like
just
energized,
talk.
dude.
Yeah.
I seriously love doing
It's a
this.
great way to start a Monday.
I know, seriously, especially for a Monday morning. Now I'm just
Yeah.
like, let's go. Like I'm ready
Yes.
to like just go. I just want to like have Carrie around all the time. I mean, he's so
It's
great.
pretty awesome, I have to say, because
dude.
I have him around all the time.
Are you an office guy or are you like a floater? Is this positive energy in the office too?
I hope so. I
This
hope
is
that-
how he rolls all the time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just love it. I love it.
Yes.
It's inspiring. Guys, Carrie Griggs, Nikki Chambliss, just fantastic people. Love when they come on the show. Nikki welcomes Carrie often. I hope she does it even more.
Yes.
Nikki, thank you for lining this interview up. Judah, thank you for executing the show today. The I Love Seville show is
Thank
up
you,
in
Judah.
an hour and 6 minutes. If you didn't find this inspiring, I don't know what's going to inspire you. The entire show will be archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com and maybe in the KWA handbook moving forward as well. Thank you kindly for
QR
joining
code
us.
that.
We will
Yeah.
see you in an hour. Take care, everyone.
Awesome.
Well done.
Oh my
Thanks,
gosh, that
guys.
was incredible. Thank you, Carrie.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
Well, hey, I want y'all to come with me on my Section 8 real estate.